As an adult, I realized that what he wants no, there's a cycle.
Yes.
Unless you learn something new, you're going to continue the cycle that you're coming out of. And so for me, I know my father loved us. And in order to get us on the straight and narrow, that's what he chose, beating. And Deborah can share with you. I remember when she became 13, she turned 13. I mean, she did some crazy stuff. And I even traveled from Montego Bay. I had a meeting in Montego Bay. Traveled from Montego Bay just to be back down, to talk with her, to have devotions. Wasn't behaving. Hormones, I guess, was all over the place. Um,
Father, I don't mean to cut you, but I don't want you to go there just yet.
All
I
right.
saw little sis over there
Yes.
sitting and smiling, and while she's talking, I can see that she is paying careful attention to what you're saying. So I want to ask her a question. Lady Deborah, say about 3 to 5 years ago, how did you see your father?
That's a really good question. 3 to 5 years ago, I was what,
let's
like
project your
12.
voice a little bit.
I was 12 or 13 around
5 years ago, you'd be 13, yeah.
Okay. I felt as if I'm being honest, like 100% real, as a pastor, I always felt as if he only had children because it looked good to have children as a pastor.
Jesus.
I mean,
You serious?
I'm
Let
100%.
me cut my tail.
That's how I saw it. I felt as if they had children and they regretted it and they had to just put on a show and they had to make it look good. I didn't have a really good relationship with him or my mother, and I may or may not have fallen into some cycle of depression, developing maybe a bit of anxiety, and I guess this way that things were dealt with, I think at that time that's where the beating was happening. Was it? Yeah, it did something to my self-esteem, my self-confidence as well. So I didn't see him as someone who loved me, but more someone who just had to do their job. It was more like a chore rather than a pleasure to be a father 3 to 5 years ago.
Yes. I don't want you to go any further. Just stick up in right there. Because, what I'm hearing from you is that beating, again, this was what Apostle learned. And I want to ask him a question. How did the way that your father conducted his role as a father affected how you fathered your children?
All right. So, what is interesting is that my decision was that I would not parent, I would not father as my father fathered. So, I communicate a lot. My father was not necessarily a great communicator, but more of a dictator.
Okay.
So, in my mind, here I am, fathering these children, meeting with them not just once per week, but every single day. I don't know no father who do that. Every single day. Teaching them principles. Seeing the danger that they're going to go in, especially this one. Talking about it and trying to help them to avert the danger. and then see them go in at the same danger. I said, all right, the talking and the strategy now work. I said, no. And my wife used to say, you know, you need to beat these children. So I said, you know what? It's true. What I'm doing not working, but that wasn't it though, you know. I'm going to say something else. And so I started putting on the lick. Seriously, you know.
The man of God.
Yes. Yeah. Murderation.
Put it on the lick.
Yeah. Because since I'm talking and the talking not working, I started doing that. But I'm going to tell you this. I realized Deborah wanted to say something, and I'm going to allow her to say it. But I say this. We did a program right here on parenting that shifted my life. You heard Deborah said she didn't feel as if we loved her. Where I loved my children that I would move heaven and earth.
Yes.
But guess what? And this is so profound. When I read the book, How to Really Love Your Child,
Wow.
I was like, oh. So even though I loved my child, genuinely loved my child,
She did not feel the love.
she did not feel that love. It wasn't being communicated in a language, in
Exactly.
a manner wherein she received it. So I love her, I'm providing for her, I am meeting with them, I'm communicating, but she was love starved. And to be love starved from your father is one of the worst things that can happen to you. It causes all kind of psychological and emotional issues. And so when I learned that, I believe that was where things started to change. So let me back up because I've said a lot and I realize,
Yes,
I don't
you
know.
know,
She
I
wanted to
saw her wiping under her glasses,
Oh,
and,
never
and I'm
mind,
wondering
never
if it was tears or something. But I saw that you wanted to say something, Lady Deborah. Go ahead.
Yes, when Daddy mentioned that's when he started beating, it wasn't like a 2-day beating. It was not that he was beating us for 2 days, but it wasn't like he tried it one time. You know, you have to try something, or you can't just try it one time to see if it works. I think it developed a sense of fear among all of us, and I'm speaking for my siblings. I'm representing all 3 of us today. Maybe that, yeah. But yeah, there was a sense of fear developed for our parents, and growing up, I've always wanted to have parents where if something bad was supposed to happen at school or something bad was supposed to happen to me, I wouldn't be fearful of them finding out. It would be more, I want to tell them what happened. I wanted
Wow.
to build that kind of relationship with my parents. But at that time, I think the beating, as you said, was driving a wedge through that dream or aspiration. And it was more like, I can't let daddy find out about this, or I don't want to tell daddy that, or I'm going to hide away my feelings, or I would rather stay locked up in my room to avoid doing anything that might cause me to get beating or anything like that. So I just wanted to input that.
Wow. That's so profound. And I want to ask you another question, Lady Deborah. How do you see your father now? I know that back then the beating and all those things caused you to look at him from a certain perspective, being that you didn't think that he was loving, you didn't think that he loved you, even though he just said it that he loved you guys with all his heart and he would move mountains for you guys. But the way in which he was operating as a father, it was not communicated to you that way. The love, you did not feel that love. So, but how do you see him right now?
tell the truth.
Right now, if I'm being honest, that is said to be real.
Keep it as real as you
As
can.
real as
it
as
can
real.
get.
Right, yeah,
I
right.
mean, the whole world is watching, and I can tell you that the world goes for genuine. The world goes for real. So I want you to keep it real.
Okay, I'm keeping it real. Right now, as we sit in these chairs, there was an argument that passed a few days ago, but the fact that despite, I mean, that argument brought tears to my eyes. Not just tears, I woke up with the next day with my eyes swollen. That kind of argument. But the fact that I'm still able to sit here and laugh with him just shows how deep our relationship is.
Wow.
To me. I was able to watch a basketball game with him Friday and Wednesday. I think it was
so.
Friday and Wednesday. And it was as if it never happened. And we're still able to kind of go back to those conversations or the arguments, bring it up and have a different discussion about it. So it's not like there's malice. There might be a bit of tension the day after or the night of the argument, but I'm still able to have a conversation with him and act as if it never happened. There's no malice, there's no hate, there's no, I'm gonna like him, I'm not gonna talk to him, and yada yada. I have a way better relationship with him now than I did 3 to 5 years ago, and I can honestly say at some point it's like my father is my friend, my best friend, I would go to say. There's a point where I can go to him about if I feel weird about something, if there's someone who did something to me, I go to him and ask for his advice. With school, I said, Daddy, I'm going to be straight up with you, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm done. And he'll talk to me, he'll sit down and say, you have to do it, you have to do it. And even big disagreements with him thinking I should go to graduation and I don't want to go to graduation. And I just have to say, you know what, it is what it is. We'll get over it.
You see, loving doesn't necessarily mean compromising. It doesn't mean, though you might compromise sometimes. There are some things you can give up on.
Yes.
There are some things it doesn't matter. But for example, now, my daughter here telling me she not going graduation. She don't want to graduate. Well, graduation is different from graduating.
Yeah.
So she's going to graduate from school,
Yes.
but she's not going to the graduation ceremony. Right?
Okay.
And at first, I don't say anything and I allowed it. And I process things long.
Long.
Yeah, I think deep,
Gosh.
long before I come up with my answer. And so, a few weeks before school ends, I said, I want us. No, I never graduated.
Yes.
Remember, I got expelled from 2 high schools.
Yes.
Yeah? So I said, well, I know she's not going to like this, but as much as I love her and I know that this is going to hurt her, this is going to be a culture in this house. My family will go to graduation, all of my children. Now, I don't know, I think she told a lot of friends that she's not graduating. So when I said that, as the tears start come down, you know what I did? I went for the rag and I say, here. You know? And I continued to speak. My family, all my children, I want them to graduate. I want this as a culture for us. I want another argument. She didn't want to finish school. Because all of these success books, be careful what you let the children read. She said, listen, I can become successful at business right now without finishing school. And that was another tension. I said, my daughter, all of my children will have a first degree at minimum in order for me to consider you an adult. You are not legally an adult here until you have your first degree.
Wow.
And so that's a culture. So there are some things I back up off, and it's not a big thing, but as a father, you have to be firm. Like she's talking to this guy now.
Oh, God.
And I said, sex before marriage is wrong. You will have feelings, you'll have emotions. I said sex is awesome, but it's not for you.
We just spoke about beating.
But you see, that's the awesomeness of your relationship that you have. Because here you are on set before the entire world, and you're just having fun. You can mess around, you can play with each other. And that's a type of relationship that fathers, mothers must seek to have with their children. And I must tell you that I know certain things about the relationship that you both have, and I can safely say that your relationship has matured, And it is a relationship that a lot of persons are emulating, looking up to, and doing it for themselves. And I must say, continue. But, Lady Deborah, Father just spoke about relationship.
Oh my God.
I see you smiling. Do you think that this is the age? Speak from your heart. Do you think that this is the age that a child or a girl, whether a girl or boy, can start looking at relationship?
I think girl is different from boy, if I'm being honest. Especially in this time and age. But I won't get into that. Do I think 17 years old? Daddy, sorry, but I do think it's an appropriate age. Why? Well, it depends on who you are. I don't think age is really the question, it's maturity.
So an 11-year-old should enter a relationship.
Okay, yes, age and maturity. Age and maturity. I believe if I was more mature than I am now, Daddy would be almost fine with the idea. He is not 100% okay with it, and it's very obvious in his actions, but I believe he's somewhat compromising, and
Compromising. Keep going, keep going.
okay.
Compromising, that's a good word.
Okay.
I'll get to that later.
Yeah, because I want to jump on that.
Stop. Okay. But I think it's very dangerous, as I'm always telling people, especially the guy that Daddy would have mentioned, that relationships are very complicated things. They're very complex. It's literally two people coming from two different backgrounds, two different parents, ways of thinking, ways of loving, ways of receiving love, ways, morals, values, coming together and trying to be one, because that's what marriage and relationships should be about. And especially if it's a case where that person is coming out of a broken home and another person is coming out of a broken home, it can either build a relationship or it can make it worse for yourself. So I really think it depends on how much you love yourself, how much you're able to love someone, because I don't think it's okay to be in a relationship when you don't love yourself. And though I am struggling with self-love right now, I think I'm getting better and I'm getting there every single day. But I really don't, the minimum I'm putting is 16. I used to date before 16 and I see why Daddy was so, how are you? You're pushing the no dating at this age and you're not ready for love at this age and you need to focus on school. And I do believe that, but I finished school in a few weeks, so that can't be Daddy's excuse anymore. It's more, are you ready for a relationship? Are you mature enough for a relationship? So I would say 16 is a good age to maybe start looking, but I don't think you should look for a relationship. You know, if it will find you. When you start looking for things, you probably find the wrong thing. So once you're mature enough, you understand the concept of a relationship and you're able to have someone like such father to govern and say, I don't think you should do this, and put certain principles in place and rules and make sure that you know that you value yourself, then I think it's okay to start dating, but not to surrender your heart, soul, life, body, mind, everything to this one person. Because though there's a lot of people who date one time and that's it for them, they get married, have children, oh my God, happy ending. A lot of people, including Daddy, and I don't know about you, but I would want to think you that have dated and it has gone wrong. But it's okay to learn from those experiences and just move forward with a positive mindset into the dating world.
Well, I see that you are utilizing what you have learned, what was said to you by your father. You're using it, I wouldn't say against him, but you're using it to explain yourself and to
Yes.
get ahead in the argument. But I'm going to give Apostle a chance to respond to what she has just said about dating.
All right. What's my preference? My preference would be a flat out no. That's my preference. It would be a flat out no
Wait, to what?
to dating. My preference.
To
At
dating
this
over,
age.
oh,
To
this
dating
age.
At
at
this
this
age,
age,
yes.
yeah.
Ah.
It would be a flat out no. Why? It divides you. This is the age where you are focusing on education. You are trying to establish your foundation at this age of your life. And relationship, as Deborah said, can be very complex, and it can mess with the emotions of young people. And so what I also know is that as a father, if you have a child who is a pre-adult, a young adult really, one year from being an adult, a few months from being legally an adult, and if you don't allow that child to make some decisions,
Yes.
and allow that child to make mistakes that can be learning experience and not a life sentence. If you parent with a heavy hand, so much so that your child, which I believe she wanted at one point, they can't wait to become an adult to just run leave your house to go do all of what they want to do. Then when they do leave, they're going to make no ends of mistake without you being there
Yes.
to protect them.
Yes.
And so what I do, I realize she tells me, I'll see this guy, I like this guy. You know, I let him come to my house. I talk to him. Serious.
Keep touching her.
You know?
Serious.
Yeah. Talk to him. They ask about going to the movies. I try to allow it within a certain context. I show up at the movies and check them out.
Did she know that?
You know, because what you want, if you make all the decisions for your child and then they become an adult, leave your place and start make decisions for themselves without you being there, you would not be there to guide. And so at this stage, I can say, why are you hugging like that? You know that hugging like that, that close, you're not supposed to have sex. Because I talk plain. You're not supposed to have sex. When you hug like that and you stir up, do you know that that young man is in his prime? When him stir up like that, what going to happen? You're not supposed to. You understand? So speak, but there must be that distance so that no lasciviousness is taking place, which is to stir up
Yes.
what you can righteously satisfy. You have to have those conversations.
He's very plain. I mean, I was on the way to school. He was taking me to school for an exam Thursday. And we're just sitting in the car, and out of nowhere, sex is awesome. But no sex before, like out of nowhere. I don't know where it
As
came
if he
from.
wanted to say it a
Like,
long time ago.
Or it just popped up in his head and he just decided to say, like, there's no filter.
Oh, I told her, sex is a wonderful thing. Sex is a wonderful thing, but within the confines of marriage. And I told her, if you don't wait, and I have to keep saying these things because I know
That's what the
how the temptation is, and that's my job as a dad, to look out and to ensure. So I say, yes, sex is awesome, but remember, sex is a bonding agent that should be bonding
Two people.
to married people. You start getting sexually involved here, this one don't work out, you get sexually involved over there, and many parents are shy of speaking to their children
I
like
was
this.
just about to say that many fathers especially are very reluctant to speak to their daughters about sex. If you don't have that conversation, and mark you gentlemen, I am not saying that it is easy to have a conversation with your daughter about sex, but the more that you speak about it, it is the more comfortable it will become, and you will be able to impart to your daughters what is it that they should do, should not do as it relates to sex and other things.
I know you're going to ask me something, but may I just say something quickly?
Sure.
Every family is different. You can't run your house based on how I am running my house, because your daughter might not be there any at all, and you have to insist on a flat out no, because you realize that in order to earn someone's love, she's going to be doing what she ought not to be doing. And you have to have that kind of conversation. So don't leave and say, Bishop says, all right, for my 17-year-old daughter to date. Yeah? I believe you have to deal with each situation.
Everything is within
Everything
context.
within context. And I
context.
wanted to put that in there.
That was a timely interjection, sir. But I want to, just move on a little bit. I know that you're a man of the word. And I know that during the turbulence years that you had with Deborah, there must have been some things that guided you. So what I want to ask, what are your top 3 Bible verses that is used for raising children? I know that is broad, but that is used for raising children, and the principles that you get from these Bible verses.
Well, you of all persons, Sir Rastus, you know. So while I was going through and battling with Deborah years ago, I was also doing the Every Man a Warrior program. And I wasn't only teaching it, I was benefiting from it.
Yeah.
And while doing the program, we learned 3 biblical principles for raising children. Principle number 1, it is the father's God-given responsibility to train his children.
I want you to say that again, sir. And I want you to look in the camera and speak to the fathers and let them understand
the first principle that I learned from the program is that it is the father's God-given responsibility to train his children. And the scripture that supports that is Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4. Fathers, do not beat your children until they are angry and think that you don't love them, and they are frustrated and they think that you hate them. Do not exasperate your children. Do not use your authority in a wrong way that would destroy the relationship between you and your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. That changed my life. Because when I studied that verse, I realized that training and instruction of the Lord means influence.
And not beating.
And not force. So most parents parent from a place of authority, which is what I was doing. But I didn't have the influence. Right now I believe I have influence over my children.
And authority.
And authority, because the influence comes when the person knows that you love them genuinely. And what happens in many relationships is that the child doesn't really know. And remember this principle? Rules without relationship ramp up rebellion. So when you have a lot of rules, but there's no relationship, it forces the child to rebel. And so what I had to do was to build a relationship from the book that I read, and I read a lot because I see parenting as it's a skill that you must develop. And so I had to invest, I had to learn, I had to grow. And from that now, I learned that in order for your child to realize that you love them, you have to give focused attention. That means you're talking to the child and you're giving them your undivided attention. Appropriate physical touch. So you hug, you kiss on the cheek, appropriate physical touch. You know, you put your hand on the shoulder, you affirm them. Eye contact. While you're communicating, you are also, you also ensure that you are very, very present. Yeah? You watch for the pitch of your voice in terms of how you come across. And discipline must be within a certain context. And so I had to learn all of that as a part of Ephesians 6 verse 4 to help me to be the teacher that God wants me to be. I had to gain influence. So I know that's a long way to answer your question, but One of the major scriptures would be Ephesians 6 verse 4. The next one is Proverbs 17:6. Fathers are the glory of their children. I believe that's the quotation. And then, so children adore their fathers. And if you know how to use that, then what's going to happen is that your image, the identity of the child is going to be very, very strong, because you are going to be affirming that child, and you understand that the child really, really looks up to you and want to mirror you. And then finally, Proverbs 18 verse, is it 31? 21.
21.
Sure, it's 21.
Yes.
Yeah. The word spoken to a child will determine his or her destiny. So when Deborah behave like she is a mad girl and stress me out, I'm going to say, pit me in a sense, I would say, Deborah, you're better than that. I would say, Deborah, that's not you. If she behave lazy and don't want to clean her room, I would say, Deborah, you know that's not you. You are better than that. That's not the girl that I know you want to be. And so this program really, really changed my life. I'd encourage every father to do it. How would that, well, and I'm here the interview. Can I ask her?
Just before you ask
Yeah.
her a question, I just wanted to add to what you said. I know that you did not say it in so many words, but one of the profound thing is that children get their self-image
Yeah,
from
thank you.
what
They believe.
they believe, and that is just
You
powerful.
don't finish it. You don't finish it. Finish it.
What they
From
believe.
what
they believe.
Your
Dad
Dad
thinks
thinks
about them.
about them.
Yeah.